Feldenkrais for courage. So, the theme of these lives are all about mobility, bringing more mobility and flexibility to the body, the joints. Today we are going to lubricate the hip joints, okay? So it's all about the hip joints today. We're going to lie on the back, so as usual, make sure that you don't strain yourself to look at the camera. You don't need to look at the camera in principle, because I'll explain what you need to do and you do what you understand, okay? Don't worry too much about, am I doing it right, am I doing it wrong? Just do what you understand. It shouldn't be difficult at all, okay? Just follow my guidance, okay? Follow my voice, okay? So you're going to start by lie on your back for a moment. Whew. And take a moment to arrive. If you can just lengthen your legs. If that is not good for you today, then you can keep your knees up, all right? Take a moment to feel yourself against the floor. Notice how does it feel to lie down on your back today. Have a sense for the contact of your body against the floor. And just take a moment to just be. Reminding yourself that this is your me time and that for the next 15 or 20 minutes that you're going to be together here, nothing else matters but your body and your breath, okay? So just be present, be with yourself, okay? Nothing else matters. All right, so you're going to bring your feet on the floor, flat on the floor, the knees up. Keep your feet and knees hip distance apart, more or less, wherever it is comfortable for you. And you're going to bring your right knee, so lift the right foot away from the floor and bring your, see if you can bring your knee directly on top of your hip joint. Okay, so you don't want your knee too close to the chest, because then your knee is no longer on top of the hip joint. Okay, you want to have your knee as much as you can on top of the hip joints. Okay, and there is a spot there where you can feel that your knee is comfortably on top of the hip joint, okay? So if you bring your knee in towards the chest, then that's not the right place to have your knee, okay? I want you to bring your knee forwards so that you have a vertical line from your knee to your hip joint. So we're doing it on the right side first, okay? And I want you from here to move your knee a tiny little bit forwards and back to the center, and then a tiny little bit backwards towards your head, okay? And back to the center. The center means that your knee is directly on top of the hip joint, okay? So move your knee back and forth towards your feet, so that your foot comes closer to the floor, but it doesn't touch the floor. And then bring your knee a little bit towards the head, okay? So you're just taking your knee off center just a centimeter or an inch away from the center each side. Once towards the head and once towards the floor. Okay? And I want you to pay attention to that hip joint, the ball and socket. So at the end of your thigh, there's the ball, and in your pelvis you have the socket for the ball of which is your hip. That's your hip joint. Okay. So that's a ball and socket. Socket is in your pelvis, and the ball is at the end of your thigh bone. So move your knee back and forth, just a tiny little bit, hardly any movement. Not easy to do because we tend to do big movements that are easier to do, but this movement is quite difficult to control. So do what you can. Move your knee a little bit forwards and a little bit back towards your head. And see if you can feel that connection between your hip joint, between the ball and the socket. Breathe in and out. Okay, bring the right foot on the floor and take a moment to rest. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing, but now we go sideways. We go left and right. Again, it's only a tiny little bit, okay? So bring your knee on top of your hip joints as much as you can, and then go a tiny little bit to the right and a tiny little bit to the left. But make sure you know where the center is. So a little bit to the right, back to the center, a little bit to the left, back to the center. It's only a tiny little movement, hardly any movement. And you need to make an effort to control that movement to be as tiny as possible. Breathe in and out. All right, and let go. Take a moment to rest. And now bring the knee up again, the same knee. And now do both movements and make a cross. Go back and forth and then sideways. So it's as if you're drawing a cross in the air with the knee. So move the knee towards the head and move the knee towards the floor and then move it left and then move it right. Tiny little movements. Great control is needed here so that you don't make big movements. So visit all the 4 places that you have been before. Breathe in and out. Okay, let go. Take a moment to rest. Feel your hip joints. Feel the difference between one hip and the other. Okay, now make circles with the knee. So same side, bring the knee on top of the hip joint and then go around and around with your knee. Again, tiny little movement. Around and around. Just do one way, go one way around first and then we do the other way around. Make it as small as you can. The key here is to make it as organized as possible. Okay, so I mean, without jerking. Okay, so you need great control to move the knee without jerky movements. Around and around one way. Tiny little circle, hardly anything. Okay, let go and rest that foot on the floor. And then come back and go the other way around. Around and around in a circle. It's not easy to control. Do what you can. Tiny little circle, as little as you can make it. All right, and then rest. Lengthen your legs for a moment. And now just turn your legs, so turn the right foot towards the left foot and turn the left foot towards the right foot. So you roll your leg from the hip joints and notice the differences between one hip joint and the other. Notice your hip joints. Notice the mobility in your hip joint. So you roll your legs, you roll your left foot towards your right foot. Just a small movement, doesn't need to be big. And then you move your right foot towards your left foot. And just notice that movement in your hip joints. Okay, let that go. Come back with your feet on the floor, knees up. So now, what you're going to do, you're going to separate your feet a little bit wider apart and separate your feet wide apart and bring your right knee towards the floor, towards your left foot. So drop your right knee as far as it goes towards your left foot, towards the floor, and see how far it goes. And bring it up. So all we're doing is moving the right knee towards the left foot. You need to have your right foot away from the center so that you allow the movement to happen freely in your hip joint. Bring it up and move it down. The knee goes towards the floor, close to your left foot. A few more times. Notice the movement traveling up your spine. You probably feel your chin moving closer to your chest. Notice what's happening in the body. Okay, let that go. Bring that right foot now closer to the left foot. So the right foot is off center, closer to the left foot, and bring your right knee towards the floor, towards the right, to the other side. It's the opposite to what you did before, okay? So open the knee towards the floor on the right hand side. And your foot needs to be more towards, your right foot needs to be more towards the left foot. So open the knee to the side, towards the right. So you're doing the opposite to what you're doing before. Okay, let that go. Now move your right foot to the center. And now you need to move the feet. Now you're going to do both movements at the same time, okay? One at a time. So move your knee towards your left foot and then bring it up. Move the right foot a little bit more to the center and move the knee towards the floor on the right, okay? So you're repeating the two movements you did just now, you're doing one at a time, one after the other. So you need to move your foot so that accommodates the movement in your hip joint. So once the knee goes to the right towards the floor, and once the knee goes to the left towards your left foot. Breathe in and out. Keep the other knee quiet without moving. Allow it to be, just be, okay? The other knee doesn't move very much. The left knee doesn't move very much. Just the right knee and leg. So once the knee goes to the right towards the floor, once it goes to the left towards the left foot. All right, and let it go. Lengthen your legs for a little while. Just for a little rest. Okay, now with the legs long, just notice the differences between your left leg and your right leg. And turn the legs again just like you did before. Turn your right foot towards the left and turn your left foot towards the right. Notice that movement in your hip joint. Then notice let it go and notice the length of your legs. Does your right leg feels longer, grounded, more grounded onto the floor? All right, bring the knees up. Let's do the left side now. So bring the left knee on top of the hip joint, on top of the left hip joint. So remember, if you bring your knee in towards the chest, that's not the place. The place is a vertical line from the tip of your knee to your hip joint. So we're doing the left side now. So your left foot is off the floor, and your left knee is as much as you can on top of the left hip joint. Okay? And now you're going to move back and forth again, just like you did before. Move the knee a tiny little bit towards the head and a tiny little bit towards the floor. Back and forth. Hardly any movement. Only a tiny little movement. And just notice that hip joint. Notice that connection between the ball and socket in your left hip joint. And notice any differences you can feel between this one and the other one that you just worked on. Breathe in and out. Be present, stay present. Back and forth with the knee, tiny little movement. All right, let that go. Bring the left foot on the floor for a little rest. And then bring the knee up again on top of the hip joint, and now go left and right, like before. Tiny little movement left, Tiny little movement right with the knee. Keep the other knee, the right knee, nice and quiet. Left and right with the knee. Stay present, feel your hip joint. Control the movement. Don't make it too big. Okay, let go and take a moment to rest. Bring the foot on the floor. Okay, and now bring the knee up again and now make circles. Same thing as on the other side. Tiny little circles. As small as you can make them. One direction only, and then we do the other direction with the rest between. So how small can you make that circle? Breathe in and out. Close your eyes, feel your hip joint. Is it smooth, the movement? Is it sticky? Is it jerky? Is it crunchy? Your aim is to make it as smooth as you can. If it's jerky, then all you have to do is to repeat the movement a few more times until you can make the movement smooth, until your hip joint becomes a little bit looser and softer. Okay, let it go. Rest the foot on the floor. And then go the other way around. Breathe in and out. So if you feel that the movement is crunchy or jerky, then just repeat this movement a few more times. Later on, tomorrow, until you can feel that the movement in your hip joint is smooth. There's only one way to lubricate the joints, and that is through movement. Motion is lotion. There's no other way you can make the movement in a joint smooth and the joint lubricated. There is no pill. There's no quick remedy. Movement is all that you can do to make the joints in the body flexible, mobile, and lubricated. Okay, let go and rest. So now we're gonna move your left foot a little bit out of the way towards the left and bring the left knee towards the right foot. Keep the right knee nice and quiet. And then bring it up and bring it down again. So you move in the left knee towards the right foot and bring it up. Your left foot needs to be out towards the left to allow that movement to happen in a hip joint. Feel the movement traveling through your spine. You probably feel your spine lengthening, your lower back arching a little bit. Breathe in and out. Okay, let it go. Then bring the right foot back to the center, a little bit to the right side, and bring the left knee towards the floor to the left, as far as it goes comfortably. And bring it up and down again. Do that a few times. Keep the right knee as quiet as you can. The movement is only on the left. Stay connected to your hip joint. Okay, now do both movements at the same time. Move the knee towards the right foot, bring it up, and then bring the knee towards the left side, towards the floor. And go from side to side. Adjust your foot, your left foot, as you need to bring the knees to the left foot, to bring the left knee towards the floor, either side of the body. Towards the right foot, and then towards the floor on the other side, the left side. Breathe in and out. Keep the right knee and side quiet. Okay, and let go. Bring your legs long. Notice it feels easier to bring your legs long now if it wasn't at the beginning. And then compare both sides of your legs, the hip joints. Notice if things feel a little more balanced. And now bring your feet on the floor once again. Now bring your knee up, the right knee up. And now I want you to make big circles with the knee. So as you move, we're working with the right knee. So now you can make big circles. So as you bring the right knee towards the right, your right foot comes towards, lifts a little bit in the air. Okay, so comes towards the left. Okay, and then as you bring the knee towards the left, towards the other leg, your right knee sticks out to the side. Okay, so allow that movement to happen in your lower leg to make a big circle. Okay, if that makes sense. Don't worry too much about, just make big circles with your right knee. And then go the other way around. Okay, and like that. Go and then do the same thing with the other leg. Make big circles with the knee. One way. And then the other way. So allow now the circles in the knee to be big. Okay, let go. Now separate your knees wide apart, separate the feet and the knees wide apart. Now let's work with both legs, both knees. Both knees drop to the side, so the right knee and the left knee come towards the floor. So your right knee comes towards your left foot and your left knee comes towards the floor on the left side. So both knees are dropping to the left. And then bring both knees up and then drop both knees to the right. Both knees working at the same time to the left and to the right. Bring both knees up and drop them to the left. Bring them up and drop them towards the right. Back and forth with control. Dropping doesn't mean that you let the knees drop, but it's just a way of explaining what you want to make the movement with control. Slowly down and slowly up. And allow the torso to participate in this movement. Free the torso, free the head. And as the knees go to the left, turn the head to the right. As the knees go to the right, turn the head to the left. And enjoy this movement in the whole of the body. It's a nice stretch for the whole of the body. And you probably feel yourself sliding down your mat. That's okay, allow that to happen. Breathe in and out and just enjoy this very pleasant stretch for the whole body. Very pleasant movement. The whole body is participating in this movement. Your spine, your shoulders, your neck, your knees, your legs, your hip joints, everything is moving. Knees to the right and knees to the left. Breathe in and out. Speed-wise, just do what feels right to you. You don't need to be too precise, you don't need to be too slow or too quick. Just do what feels good. If it feels good to stay on the side, stay there for a few breaths in each side for a moment and enjoy the stretch. Then turn to the other side and stay there for a breath or two. Enjoy that stretch, full body stretch from side to side. Okay, it's a very pleasant, very satisfying movement to do any day of the week, any time of the day. All right, so you can carry on doing this for as long as you want. And then lengthen your legs, and I'm going to slide myself up, get that slide down. Lengthen your legs. And just take a moment to feel yourself against the floor. Notice how does it feel now to lie on the back comparing to before. And then roll your legs like you did before. Roll the right foot to the left and the left foot to the right. And just notice that movement in your hip joints. Anything changed? Please do let me know in the comments area, and I'll see you at the next live on Wednesday. Bye bye now.